So, yeah, this game's going to be in a great city, Tallahassee, Florida. That stadium is going to look like Doak Campbell used to look in the 90s, right? When Bobby Bowden was there. And, dude, you're hearing the war chant. I'm telling you, this game is going to be absolutely electric. And I am kind of disappointed in College Game Day. I know Vandy and Alabama, especially after it happened last year, is a really sexy game. But the SEC bias, though, I get it. You know, the fans are going to show out. They're going to have all the signs out there. But, like, come on, bro. We got UW and Maryland this week. We got Miami and Florida State this week. I don't know. So, Shannon Dawson, really friendly offensive quarterback. If you're a quarterback and you want to play in a really friendly system, Shannon Dawson has a really quarterback-friendly system, right? And he's just changed Miami's identity, and he's built them into a unit. Last year, they scored a lot of points. Cam Ward was very efficient in that system last year, but they're averaging 36.8 points per game. And this system, in my opinion, is, quarterback friendly because it's built on simplicity. And a lot of people don't think that because you look at the X's and O's and you think of how exotic it is, but it's really built on simplicity, tempo, repetition, and allowing Carson Beck to do what he do. Carson Beck is playing outstanding right now, 972 yards, 7 touchdowns, 73.2% completion percentage. And he allows Carson Beck to play fast and confident. The air raid influence, it's kind of air raid meshed with a spread. You know how you get kind of like crossbreed dogs? I think it's an offense. It's a crossbred offense between the air raid and the spread, to be honest with you. And they use spacing a lot to stress defenses, and it makes quick RPO. RPO is like a buzzword in college right now. If you don't know, it's just like a run-pass option. And at the collegiate level, they do something really interesting because they add the read element to it. So a run-pass read where the quarterback can either hand the ball off, that backside defense is in crashes, he can take off with it, or, he'll look and see if that bubble, if it's a bubble, is open. If not, hand it off to the running back if that backside DN don't crash. But if that backside DN crash, he'll pull it. And, that's what I love about the RPO game at the collegiate level. You'll see it in the pros sometimes, but I really love this offense, and they're not afraid to take vertical shots. And it's hard to key on one player when you're playing this team. I think that's why they're so difficult to prepare for, right? And Dawson doesn't abandon a run, and that's what you see a lot of times when I say a system is quarterback friendly. Your assumption is, hey man, we about to pass the rock like the great Mike Leach. We about to pass that thing about 55 times. Nah, it's not that type of deal, man. But he ain't afraid to pass the rock. I'll just say it like that. Mark Fletcher Jr., 388 yards, 5 touchdowns on the season. CharMar Brown, 206 yards, 4 touchdowns on the season. Really balanced attack they have, and they just keep people honest, man. And Carson Beck got people to throw the ball to. You got Malachi Toney, 268 yards on the year. CJ Daniels, 191 yards, 3 touchdowns. And it's a deep wide receiver rotation that fits, Dawson's philosophy of spreading the ball around, share the sugar. We talked about the tempo, the balance, and the big play potential. This Miami team is electric offensively, and hopefully you have a better understanding of what their offense is after that. So, we talked about the offense. Let's talk about the defense. Let's talk about defense coordinator Corey Hetherman. He transferred his defense into the nation's one of the most reliable units. I think a lot of people get caught up in Carson Beck and what they're doing, Shannon Dawson and Mario Cristobal and what they're doing. Their defense is legit. That is the best part about the Hurricanes. It's their defense, right? Super reliable unit, 13th in total defense, 9th in points per game allowed. That is crazy. They do like to operate out of that 4-2-5, but a lot of times with the 4-2-5, it's a base where you have your nickel on the field. It's technically a nickel defense, but a lot of times teams that let their strong safety come into the box to give you that 4-3 look, that's all a 4-2-5 is. It's truly a nickel base, but it allows you to play against these spreads. That way, you got 3 and 4 wide receiver sets. You can bring, you can move your safeties around. You have your nickel there. You're able to match up, but you still can play the one. So they like to operate out of that. And it's built on positionalist philosophy. And that's something that you hear in basketball a lot. Positionalist basketball. When football, it's a little bit different. Yeah, it's about adaptability, situational awareness, and maximizing matchups. He's playing defense like he's on offense, right? The focus is on being super aggressive and physical up front. And you know that they're going to do that with Ruben Brain up front and dominating the line of scrimmage and taking away the opponent's run game. Hetherman preaches this 3-letter acronym, and I love it. It's called ESV. It's excitement, swarming, and violence, which shows up in his defense, how they rally to the ball and create turnovers. Stars are already emerging. We talked about Ruben Bain, 22 tackles, 2 sacks on the season. We got true freshman Bryce Fitzgerald, right? Got 2 interceptions on the season. He doesn't even start. So this is a guy who really believes in excitement, swarming, and violence. And what you're seeing a lot of, defensive coordinators do in modern day, hey, You don't got to give me 100% for every play, right? Because sometimes that's impossible. But you know what you can do instead? You give me 100% for 50% of these plays. That's all I need. You know what I'm saying? For the 50% of the snaps that I put you in, make sure you give me 100%, right? Hopefully you guys understand that. So let's move to the Florida State side of the ball. This is strength versus strength. Miami's strength, while a lot of people's going to say it's offense, it's their defense. Florida State's strength, we just saw it in Charlottesville this past weekend, their offense is amazing. Gus Malzahn, Smashmouth spread. I'm telling you, this team is dynamic. And the way that they can put up points on a board, they're another team really difficult to prepare for. They really are. Number one in scoring offense in the country. They're averaging 53 points per game. They're blending tempo, power, and verticality in a relentless attack. At its core, the scheme is built on hurry up, no huddle, H-U-N-H, and the downhill run game forces defenses to play on their heels while still stressing them with vertical shots. Now, Tommy Castellanos, people have been extremely critical of him. He's definitely made some comments that I know personally he will want to have back. But like I said on CFB Rush yesterday when my dogs at East Coast Gridiron, that I think he means a lot of that, right? And Thomas Castellanos scare you running the ball. They got a staple on running backs that can run the ball. I think Gavin Sawchuk is the guy, though, when I look at this offense, who scares me the most in that backfield. Duce Robinson is a grown man. He is a grown man. And he showed that in that Charlottesville game. And I know people try to put labels on him because of his size. He's a tight end. He's a this. He's a that. He's a football player. Let's stop labeling people. He's just a football player. And if he can run well at the combine, look out. This kid is a football player. He outstanding game in Charlottesville this past week. But like I said, I think that's the beauty of Gus Malzahn's system. Is sequencing inside zone and power runs, set up constraint plays like counters, buck sweeps, RPOs. RPOs are buzzword in college football. A lot of motions you'll see with them, misdirections, open space for big vertical strikes. This team is really difficult to prepare for, and that's why they lead the nation in scoring. You know, they got speed at their skill positions, quarterback who thrives in space, and Tommy Castellanos. If he protects the ball, I think they can win this game. I truly do. We talked about Miami's offense, Miami defense, Florida State offense. Let's talk about Tony White's unit defensively. He liked to run that 3-3-5. You know, he made a name for himself at Nebraska and already paying off. The Seminoles are 28th nationally in total defense, 42nd in scoring defense. So it tells you, even though they're scoring a lot of points, even though they gave up a lot of points this weekend, they still forced turnovers. As great as Chandler Morris played, he still threw 3 interceptions. That's why Florida State was still in the game, right? So I think we got to take that into consideration when we're really looking at this game. So how do I feel about this game? Doak is going to be electric. And I have a challenge for you guys. Turn your TV, same level, right? At whatever your main level is, turn your TV to that level. Keep that thought in mind even if you have recorded. Like, later on, Tuscaloosa game, record it. And I'm not saying that Bryant-Denny Stadium won't be electric, but I guarantee you're going to hear the difference. I promise you're going to hear the difference. I know in this sport, there's an SEC bias. I don't got no beef with SEC. I love SEC ball. I was watching SEC ball all weekend. But all I'm saying is the Doak is going to be crazy this weekend. I promise you that. So give me Florida State in an upset win. I believe at some point Mario Cristobal will Cristobal. We will get one of those blunders or one of those moments. Remember last year, Miami played Cal, and they was down a lot. He's like, yo, what's going on here, right? And we also had the Virginia Tech game from a year ago that, in my mind, Virginia Tech won. ACC people and the referee said, nah, we're going to get this game to Miami. So at some point, when will we see it? Or has Mario Cristobal gotten to the point that doesn't happen this year? And that this team is focused and they're ready to win a national championship. They definitely had an aura about them and motion at ACC Media Days. I got to admit that. But I just think this place is just going to be raucous. They're going to be ready to play. Florida State's going to be pissed off after this loss that they had this past weekend. But Miami had plenty of time to, scout them and get ready for them. So it's going to be a really interesting game. But give me Florida State in a shootout.